So I'm Chef Don McMillan, and we're going to make the perfect pie crust. Hello, well today we're going to make the perfect pie crust. We're going to make it with butter and shortening. It's going to be flaky and it's just going to be so great. We're going to use it later on to make some of these wonderful pies like apple pie and blueberry pie. We've got so much to look forward to. You know you want to stick around because I've got so many helpful tips to share. And also, if you have any comments, please leave them below. I'd like to know if you've ever made pie crust before and how do you make it and some of the things that you find. You may have some other simple tips to share. So we'd like to have that, and of course, you know, when you leave a comment, I'd like to respond, and also when you like us, I'd like to personally thank you. So I'm Chef Don McMillan, and we're going to make the perfect pie crust. Okay, so to make the perfect pie dough, the ingredients that I like to use: all-purpose flour. I've got 2.5 cups in here. I'm going to add in some sugar. Now, whenever I add sugar, it's important, for example, making a fruit pie, which is more of a sweet type of pie. So if I was making a savory pie, say as a chicken pot pie, I'd use less sugar. Now, what the sugar does when it makes your pie dough, it gives it that color because it caramelizes as it's hitting that high heat coming from the oven. And as it caramelizes, it gives you that beautiful brown. Okay, and it also gives you a nice kick, a little bit of a flavor too. So let's go ahead and place our sugar right into the flour. And I need a little bit of salt, not a lot. I don't like to use a lot of salt in my recipe, but I do need some because we have to have, again, that nice saline flavor that comes through. Now, using my most important tools, my hand, I'm going to place it in the bowl and evenly distribute the sugar and the salt. You could use a sifter if you like, but this works just as well. And I want to get my hands in there anyway, so what the heck, doesn't really matter. Now, I have my dry ingredients distributed. The next thing I like to do is to go to the refrigerator, and I'm going to get out my butter and my shortening. It's in the refrigerator because it needs to be chilled, because whenever you make pie dough, everything should be chilled in there, the shortening, and also using ice water. So let's go to the refrigerator. So Lori, my beautiful daughter-in-law, would you help me open the refrigerator? And we're going to get out the ingredients. And what I have here is pre-measured shortening and 1 stick of butter. Thank you. All right, so what I have here is 1 stick of butter. Now what I did earlier is I just took my knife and I divided this butter into smaller little pieces like that. Makes it easier to put it into the dough when I'm going to go and turn it into little pebbles of butter encrusted with flour. I also measured 5 tablespoons of shortening. This is vegetable shortening. And let's go ahead and place those in there. And again, using my hands, I'm going to turn this into a wonderful pie dough by just manipulating it with my thumb and my fingers here. And I'm going to form it first into like pebble-sized little balls, and then I'm going to turn it into little tiny pebbles. Okay? So we're just going to squeeze it and squeeze it and squeeze it. Now, because the butter and the shortening's been in the refrigerator, it's going to be a little bit harder, but the heat from my hand will actually help me to squeeze it and make it into more pliable dough. So this takes a little bit of time, but trust me, it's worth it. I like to do things by hand the first way so I know the correct way to do it. And then, of course, I can use all those wonderful mechanical devices that are out there. I learned to make this recipe when I was working in the Merchant Marine, and I was actually the cook and baker on a yacht. And pies were very, very popular. we didn't have machines in our galley. That's what we call a kitchen. So therefore, we just go ahead and use our hands. Now, I'm making enough pie dough for one pie, a top and a bottom. If you want, you can take the recipe, and by the way, that's description is where you will find our recipe, right below in the description. You can double it, triple it, quadruple it. It all works the same. The one thing I do want to show you though is when you add the water, and we're going to do that in just a little while. Right now we have marble size balls of flour here and fat, and we're going to pretty soon turn that into pebble size. Just by moving it around, turn the bowl and just push it like this. I like to use all-purpose flour for my pie dough recipes. I know some other recipes you'll see where I'm using different types of flour, and that's all depends on what it's going to be. For example, bread would be a good example. Okay. So the heat of my hand is taking these cold little pebbles of fat, squishing them, pushing the flour into them, and then creating a smaller bit. And then eventually I'm going to combine it with some cold water. Now we will have to refrigerate it again after we form the pie dough, because we want it to be flaky. And flaky is very important, because it's the whole reason we ever eat pie, is because we love the dough. I mean, if you've ever served somebody a slice of pie and you cheated them on the pie crust, they'd let you know for sure. All right, just about ready. You don't want to have any big clumps of fat in there, because you want this to cook out evenly. And it does seem like there's a lot of fat, but there's a reason for that in making pie dough, and that is the flaky that we're looking for. Okay, now look at this. Look at these little pebbles that are in there, and now you can just see the size of them. Now it's time to go ahead and add in our cold water. When you add the cold water in, don't dump it all in at once, okay? Because all flours are not created equal. They're milled by different mills, and when that happens, they weigh differently. So add in a little bit, and then come back and add a little bit more. Now I'm just squishing it. I'm making it come together, turning it, getting that water distributed. Put a little bit more in there. And then eventually it will form a ball. Once that happens, then we're ready to divide it and then refrigerate it. Okay, just a little bit more. If an ice cube gets in there, don't worry. Just take it back out. Not that important. Now, as I said earlier, my hands are, the warmth from them is going to help form the little balls of dough. And because of that, it's now warming up. That's why we do need to refrigerate it and let it recover. A tiny bit more. You don't want to put too much water in there, because if you do, then you'll have a pie dough that will be a lot flat. You don't want that. You want a flaky pie dough. All right, I think we're just about there. All right, let's place this on our board. Any of the excess dough we have on our fingertips. All right, we need to make a top and a bottom. So I'm going to divide my pie dough in half, like that, and then push down and form it into a round shape. like a big hockey puck. See that butter in there? You can just see the glimpse of it. We know this is going to be a beautiful flaky dough. So the next step would be to put these in plastic wrap. Okay, look at our pie dough right here. I've got some plastic wrap. I'm going to cover it with the plastic wrap. The reason I'm doing this is I don't want any skin to form as it's chilling in our refrigerator. So we keep it like that. And we have to have refrigerated, I would say, for at least a half an hour. If you want to do it the day before, that's fine. Leave it in the refrigerator, come back the day before, or even the morning of, or the night before. Doesn't really matter. But this is our perfect pie dough. So we're going to refrigerate that. All right, we're going to refrigerate our pie dough. So Lori, please do the honors. Thank you. We'll place it right on top. And thank you. So now you've seen how I made the perfect pie crust using butter and shortening. Okay, it's one pie crust that I really like to make. It's very popular. Making pie dough from scratch. We're not buying this stuff in the supermarket, right? We're doing it so we know it's real, it's flavorful, and trust me, when you share this recipe, people are going to love it. And of course, that's why we cook, in order to share the goodness. So please subscribe to my channel. It's very important that we have that, let you know that these videos are coming out. We're going to be doing so many, and I don't want you to miss any of them, because trust me, you're going to love it. Please leave a comment. Tell us what you think about it. Maybe you've got a suggestion. I'd like to know, and I would personally like to get back to you and respond that when you like our video. It's so very much important. Remember, I said it earlier, the recipes are in the description, and you're probably going to want to see the rest of the videos. I know you're already watching now. We've got some great ones, and we want to share those with you. So remember, all of our recipes are simple, and of course, they're delicious.